gang stalking. We're going to talk about a lot of things. Looks like there was a couple people waiting. Well, it looks like people are getting into the habit of meeting here in this open forum of gang stalking. Unless, of course, you're a perp, then well, you're probably going to get kicked out of here, unless you can be sneaky. Of course, they're sneaky, aren't they? Okay. Well, we had somebody leave. That must have been one right there. Looks like it went down to one. That's okay. What are you going to do? And well, we're going to have to wait until a few people show up. But as I've always said, that I get stimuli from the comments, and I appreciate that when people give me ideas for a video or they share their experiences. It helps me out because a lot of times I just don't know what to talk about. Maybe I'll run across a comment or I'll see someone else make a video or ask a question about a dilemma. Or sometimes I'll just try to follow a theme because there's so many things that we talk about. You can kind of use that successional progressive technique and move into different areas of the experience that the targeted individual has with gang stalking. And sometimes that works out. And last night we talked about several things. We talked about, the perps. We talked about the government, the witchcraft, the hierarchy. We talked about a lot of weird stuff. Um, and I ran across a comment from Edie, and she's having an anniversary with her stalking. And of course, like a lot of you, she has been dealing with this since she was a child. But of course, the overt stalking has a tendency to happen later in life. I've talked about that before. That there's those stages where you get the seeds, you get that little foundation of gaslighting, that medium that is used to try to drive the victim nuts, make them think they're mentally ill or crazy, or set them up for that type of crescendo effect. And I've talked about that before because they've got to traumatize you. They want you to be in shock and awe, and they want you to form as many associations as possible so that you can be triggered all the time, and you can experience that type of environmental tyranny, which is what we're going to talk about tonight. And it goes into a lot of different areas. Looks like we've got six people out there. And of course, as usual, I didn't get my reading glasses. Of course, I forgot that as usual. Let's see if I can find those. Oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. Now, hopefully they're here somewhere. There's no way. I did it again. Hold on a second, guys. Well, if nothing else, maybe I'll be able to read the comments either way. Gosh, where did I put those? Well, this is ridiculous. Okay. No, that's not the... Huh. Well, I must have really hit them good this time because I can't find them. That's... I usually put them right back where they... I don't know. Maybe it was the little people. It was the dwarfs. Yeah, well, there hasn't been anyone in here. I'm going to have to blame myself this time. And I figured I would blame it on the dwarfs. Dublin Fitzpatrick had some very interesting comments about that in the last live stream that she attended, and I had to apologize to her for, discussing dwarfs. Evidently, she suffers from dwarfism, and that just makes her more adorable, I think. But what are you going to do? So I'll try to read the comments without my reading glasses, and it's gonna be interesting. Looks like Burger Boy showed up here. How you doing? Yeah, well, thanks. I appreciate that. Okay, well, Dublin's the only one who had anything to say. Let's see here. Huh. Well, looks like there's a few people jumped up to 11, and we'll usually start talking right about now. I still want to find my my glasses here, but get maybe another 30 seconds or so of rummaging around in here will will prove productive. Then again, maybe not. I can't believe that I put those somewhere. Maybe it was when I was cleaning up today. Bet you that's what it was. I did some cleaning and I must have put them somewhere and forgot all about it. That's unfortunate. Well, I'll just let some people show up and I'm going to look around here for a minute. My gosh. That's hopefully everybody will be patient with me. Not a whole lot of people in the comments yet anyway, and maybe Dublin can start a dialogue with Burger Boy or something. You just never know. Okay. Anyway, well, that was fruitless. I must have really hit him from myself. Who do I rise to power? Awesome. I was hoping you'd show up. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have a hard time reading. We need to teach this in schools. People in society are unhinged. Okay. And I still can't really read right now, unfortunately. Um, so maybe if I turn up the light, that'll help me out a little bit. Oh, it helped a bit. Rise to power says take your time, but I don't know where they are. I don't know where it is, and unfortunately, that's just going to be the way it is. Bora Bora, how you doing? Okay, well, so environmental tyranny is what we're going to be talking about, along with emotional manipulation, all the things that go along with that wonderful stuff. And you know, Edie, who I mentioned earlier in the live stream, that gave me this idea. She wanted a video about this, so I figured I'd do a live about it. She gets harassed in her apartment complex, and a lot of target individuals deal with that. And I've talked about that before. That when you live in an apartment complex as a target individual, um, it's rough. Okay, it can be really, really, really brutal. And you know, it's not just that either, because a lot of targets will go on the run and they will find themselves in a hotel or something, or in an Airbnb or whatever. And yeah, it seems like no matter what, you just can't get away. And as soon as you get there, either someone checks in the room next door, or they're already there. And you know, there's a lot of things that are just logistically baffling when you're a targeted individual. And I've talked about that before, that if you're a target who's experiencing higher forms of harassment, it is very important to understand that there is a spiritual foundation to this stuff. Yes, there are government programs. Yes, secret societies are involved, the occult, all that stuff. You know, private investigating firms. There's all kinds of things. You know, the extended MK Ultra type stuff, whatever. But it could go beyond that, and it's a type of environmental tyranny that targets who experience the higher form of harassment will deal with. And I see a lot of targets make that mistake. They will focus in solely on the Freemasons or whatever, or the Illuminati, or the CIA, or the FBI, or the authorities in their area, or whatever. And you know, they start conflating all the things that are happening to them into one specific hyper focused focal point, and the logistics fall apart. That's you know, part of the discrediting process that targeted individuals deal with, because all these things are interconnected, and discrediting the target and assassinating their character, making them look crazy. And if nothing else, if they can't convince the target that they are mentally ill or get them to question the way that they are perceiving things after the reprogramming involving sensitization, conditioning, and traumatic invasion. They want everyone else around the target to believe that they are nuts. Okay. It's very important. And I'm going to try and adjust my phone another time here. Hopefully, I won't cancel the live stream. Okay. Thank you. I had the auto rotate on, and I don't know if that's what was causing a lot of the problems in the other live streams. Hopefully, that had nothing to do with it. Anybody else out there have anything to add to this before we get going? We're going to be talking about environmental tyranny. Okay. That's going to involve all the classic stuff. It goes into triggering the target into an emotional state. There's going to be all kinds of things involved: noise campaigns, street theater, directed conversations, fuming, electronic harassment, of course, involving V2K, or even things that are demonic, role playing, theatrics, accusation, gaslighting, the whispering, the little facial expressions, so on and so forth. We're going to move into the erratic behavior, and the noise campaign. That's an important one, especially if you're in an apartment complex or whatever. Even out in public, noise campaigns can happen. There's long range tactics. There's all kinds of things that can happen. People can start banging on the walls of your apartment. Those are some of the common things, smashing stuff around. There will be timing involved in some of the attacks that target individuals deal with, maybe when they're trying to eat or sleep or study or work, depending on what they do in their dwelling. Anything that's going to help, give the target a boost in their morale. They're gonna do that, or even just to correlate those attacks with certain times of the day, if they're using the correlation technique with the target to find significance in certain times of the day. And it goes into getting them to be apprehensive and so on and so forth. A lot of times you'll deal with that when you're experiencing attacks from the occult or the demonic, or maybe someone wants you to believe that, depending on whether they know your beliefs. And there's the witching hour, which is they're a very popular theme that I've dealt with, and I know a lot of other targets have dealt with that. At 3 in the morning, you might be woken up, so on and so forth, different things like that. Or when you wake up, you might hear a knock, or sometimes they will bang on your door or ring your doorbell or whatever. There'll be all kinds of things. There'll be loud directed conversations at high decibel levels, or maybe they will move in front of your window and start talking and just having a big conversation right out there, right in front of your window, or where you can hear it. A lot of times when people experience that environmental tyranny dealing with directed conversations and street theater, they will even follow the person around. Okay. And I've heard that before. People will get headphones or whatever and try to kind of drown things out. If you're that kind of an individual who hasn't gotten to the point where you're numb to this stuff. It took me a long time. I noticed that. And especially if you're, in a high state of anxiety, or there are other dilemmas, or they get something that you need, or you get covertly drugged or poisoned or whatever, right? Or you just can't get away from them, maybe in a grocery store line or in a doctor's appointment or something. They will corner the victim, and they will use those directed conversations and so on and so forth. They will stand outside the target's windows or in a place where they can hear them. They will get close to the vents if they're in an apartment complex. A lot of these things will be used. And then, of course, there's loud music and so on and so forth. And then the loud vehicles. And that stuff is usually combined with very repetitive or unnecessary behavior. I had a neighbor that will go out and just start banging on something, and I finally I walked out there. I said, what are you doing? And he said he was just taking out his frustrations on a block of wood with a hammer. You know, he was out there for hours. Bam, bam, bam. And after about 4 hours, I went out there. I was like, what the hell is this guy trying to do? Maybe he needs some help or something. Nope. Just looked at me and smiled, just banging on that piece of wood. And he was obviously very angry about something. But you don't know. And I've even dealt with some pretty weird stuff where there was the same guy. He would raise Yorkie puppies, and then usually they had a few they didn't sell, and they would freeze them to death in the wintertime. You know, very cold climate here in the winter. And I finally got tired of it, man, because they would be crying and whimpering and so on and so forth, freezing, and we're talking 30 below, without wind chill, and these little they're cute too. Yorkies are adorable little things, and they're out there, screaming, and they want in, and I had to, they wake me up. I went after the guy. I said, either you take care of these dogs, or I'm going to call somebody, or you're going to piss me off, and that's not going to be good. And he knew I wasn't kidding. In fact, I lived there for about 5 years. And so what he did was he made little dog houses for them, and he put these heat lamps in there. I was like, yeah, okay. But really, if it was that part of a gang stalking, I don't know. But it was definitely very unpleasant. I've dealt with a lot of things like that. There's a lot of long range tactics that could be used against targeted individuals. Yelling or screaming. I've seen that. You'll be, driving down the highway or something, and you might even be dealing with one of those days where it just seems like it's come from everywhere. And there's even people that do theatrics out there. Some of them are just nuts. Some people do that. They just get out next to traffic, and I don't know what they're thinking. It's like those people that work for businesses, and they advertise with signs, and it's like a mascot or something like at a football game or whatever. Except they stand out and they do all these little dances. But some people just do it, and then those people, yeah, I mean, that's no big deal. But I've seen some pretty strange stuff where I know these people were influenced by demons, and I'd be sitting at a stop sign or something like that. Which with the vehicle I've got, it's automatically unlocks your doors when you stop, which I hate that control freak vehicle. Um, I'm gonna have to figure out how to get the fuse taken out of there or whatever I'm gonna have to do to get that taken care of. And I like to be able to lock my doors when I want to. I don't need the car doing that for me. But this girl was standing out there, and she just walked up to my vehicle and just started laughing hysterically and pointed around and was pointing directly at me, and there was no reason for it. It wasn't She wasn't messing with anybody else, and she was obviously either high on drugs or something else. And she was definitely, and in my opinion, she was under the influence of a demon. But you know what? I have no idea what her problem was. A lot of people would say it was coincidental. I've seen weird things like that. Some of the other long range things that targets will deal with that have to do with that timing are, the gunshots, explosions, timed phone calls, very timely texts and phone calls, prank calls. You gotta love the ones where, back in the day, when I had an answering machine, I would get some really creepy directed conversations on that stuff, man, that would have to do with things that there's no way it wasn't. It was all, I don't, who was that? I don't know. I don't know who the hell it was. Listen, and they would be, telling me about things that were going to happen to my vehicle. And, the one time I got a message left, and it had to do with fixing the clutch on a vehicle. I don't know. And they were asking for someone else. And I don't know if Bob was there. We're going to get that clutch fixed because that's about ready to go out. And 2 days later, I had to go get that thing fixed. My clutch went out on the vehicle. Is it a coincidence? I don't know. I could go on and on and on about that stuff, or different directed conversations that have to do with people being committed to the hospital and stuff like that, and they sound like old people, and it's just creepy. A lot of the stuff that you can get is really weird, and I know you guys have dealt with those things back in the '90s. It used to be a lot worse. So I haven't. Maybe they just quit doing that kind of stuff to me. I used to get a lot of that, or they would leave a message and pretend like they were just talking to each other, and they weren't leaving me a message, like they forgot to hang the phone up, right? They'd be talking amongst themselves. It'd be a group of people or a couple people. I don't even know who they are, talking about driving somebody nuts. I wonder if he's crazy yet. I wonder if he's gonna, yeah, he's gonna give up, and all this kind of weird stuff. And then they'd hang up. Weird things like that. And of course, then there's always the obvious surveillance, that type of geographical stalking where it doesn't seem like you can get away or have any peace. So you combine all these things together. Somebody's getting attacked in their dwelling. They're getting attacked in their apartment complex. They try to leave. They're getting followed around. People are hawking at them. They're getting brighted, so on and so forth. They go to the hotel. Somebody comes, to the hotel, follows them there. They're already waiting for them. Whatever. They're trying to figure out all these things are happening, and there's just no getting away. And then they finally, you go out to the country or something. They follow you out there or whatever, and you're still dealing with this menagerie of environmental tyranny, and that's not even to mention the things that the target has been sensitized to. But I said I was going to go into the comments again. It's going to be hard for me to do because I can't read this stuff. I don't know where my reading glasses are, so but we're going to try it out. Okay. Burger Boy says you can change your text size. I'm just going to leave it and try and deal with it. Synchronicity. Yeah. Yeah, they have the synchronized stuff. That's definitely part of the environmental tyranny. Throwing trash on your lawn. Yeah, that's a good one. I can't read who that is. I'm trying to see. Everything's like double vision, man. When you get old, it's hard to read this little writing. Okay. All right. Yeah, they like to do that. They like to attack and vandalize. Yeah, Rise to Power says they hate it when he puts on the headphones. Okay. Trash pickup, talk taking your trash somewhere else. They like to rummage through things. I've noticed that. There was somebody that's been going through our garbages here. They just tore everything apart, threw it all over the place. But I know it wasn't any of the neighbors. They're the ones that picked it up. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to encourage anybody from that. I think it was just some guy who doesn't give a crap. He's always going through looking for aluminum cans, pissed off at the world. And I see him on my security system. He goes through all the garbages. I can see him go all the way down the alley. He just throws everything all over the place. Nasty. Let's see. Dublin Fitzpatrick says, I'm trying to read this. Us old folks starting to band together. Dublin, you can't even be 30 yet. What are you talking about? You're so young in your picture. There's no way. I could be wrong though. Go Eagles. They were talking loud by my bedroom. They wanted to wake me up. Yeah, I'm not gonna finish that out, but I get what you're talking about. Uh, yeah, they'll do that. They will stand. I've had that happen so many times, man. It's like, really? So you couldn't find another place to gather. It's got to be a foot away from my bedroom window, huh? Really? And sometimes it's not even reasonable to where they've got to come on your property or something like that, and so they'll use something like a little dog that wants to come over and sniff, the flower bed or something, and so it's like, really, or they'll bring their animals over to crap on your lawn, and then they'll try to cover it up with they'll pull out their little plastic bag and like they're gonna pick the shit up off the, and it's like, well, I don't care, just get out of here or stay out in the corner. I had so many people doing that. There was a bunch of old people doing that to me because I put a camera up, and I've talked about that story before. When I was living in that trailer, they were doing a lot of things to attack me. They would take the siding off and go underneath that damn thing and start banging on the floor when I'd go to sleep. They'd wait 15 minutes, half an hour, boom, they'd start hitting the bottom of that and then they'd take off. But at one point, they had put speakers under there. That was the first thing that they did. It was like a huge subwoofer or something, man. And what it sounded like was, a vehicle with a loud stereo coming down the street and then parking in my driveway. And of course, my bedroom in that trailer was on the far side, so it was on the other side of the trailer, away from the parking lot. So of course, I lay down, go to bed, turn the lights off, and it would start out, and they would just turn the volume, just up very incrementally, so it would sound like it was coming down the street. And then I'm sitting there going, "Oh, what's up with this?" And it would get so loud that it would be literally rattling the windows. It would sound like it was going to break the windows. And then, of course, you get up. I got up out of bed, and I'd unlock the door to my bedroom, and I'd start walking down the hallway, and I would get to the kitchen. Of course, right when I was getting to that, in that little hallway towards the kitchen, it would start to go away. Right. So at first, I'm thinking, huh, well, they must have, left. And I'm thinking, whatever. And of course, the next, a few times it happened, of course, I'm thinking to myself, well, uh, what's up with this? Obviously, something's going on here. Every time I lay down to go to sleep, it happens. And as soon as I, start walking, to see who it is, they leave. So the obvious question that's going to pop into your mind is, how the hell do they know to leave? How do they know when I'm laying down to go to bed, first off? And how the hell do they know to drive out? All right. How do they know when to leave and drive out of the the parking space and go away so that I don't get. And so this kept happening, and it happened every time I laid down. And finally I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm gonna get a camera and put it out there, and just, because at this point, yeah, it's weird. Of course, that there's got to be a way that they're looking at you in your house. Otherwise, they wouldn't know to start playing this little game with you. Unless they could see you lay down and turn off the lights and all that. And I even kept the lights on to see if that would make a difference if they were using that. But of course, then there's the dilemma of, how do they know when to drive out of the freaking parking space? And so obviously, I knew something was going on. Got the camera set up, and I laid down. Of course, it happened again, and I'm like, oh, let's find out who it is. There was no one there. Okay, obviously, you know where I'm going with this. And so, like a crazy person, I'm sitting in my living room yelling basically to myself, I will tear this damn place apart. And I know you got a speaker in here. Leave me the F alone. And it never happened again. Well, somebody had a lot of fun with that. But of course, I had the camera up in the window. And so then all the, old people, who probably been, given disinformation and all that other stuff, they thought that I cared about them bringing the dogs by and having them, take a shit and piss on the yard. And so they all started coming to my yard with all their animals, just because I put the damn camera up. It was so bad, the urine and everything from the animals literally killed the yard in the front. I was like, whatever, man. And I was sitting there laughing. I could see them, coming over. They'd all bring their animals over to take a shit and a piss, and they'd wave at the camera. And I'm like, I don't even care about that, whatever. And then, of course, that was a mechanism used to bring. So now I got old people taking my garbage cans and bringing their animals over to shit on the yard. And it's like, really? My gosh, man. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll move on along here. Yeah, the loud conversations. Okay, getting back to this. Okay, tampering of doors, windows, where random door noise sounds like someone throwing a rock, or even, yeah, they'll do. They'll throw stuff at your dwelling. I've had that. Have you when you set up security systems? It's not like they can just walk in front of the camera. So what they'll do is they'll throw stuff, from a house over or off, in a place where the camera's not going to see them, where it'll either hit your roof or bounce off the side of your dwelling or whatever. I've had a lot of that stuff happen. I don't know. Somebody threw a garbage can from it was it's like a vacant lot, and the weeds got really tall, and somebody literally threw a garbage can at my house. It was like a year and a half ago. I was sitting in my room, and I seen the garbage can on the on the security camera. Boom! He just threw it. It was like 20 feet, an empty plastic, big, whatever those things are, 30-gallon or whatever. Yeah, yeah. What are you gonna do? They like that kind of stuff. Let's see here. Okay. Well, I'm looking here. Michelle McLean, do Mylar blankets help? I don't know. I must have missed what you guys were talking about there. Okay. Always want to know when you're working, what time you work, and so on and so forth. That's by Rise to Power. What's your day off? What are you doing? Yeah, fishing for information. That's good. And this stuff isn't just it's not just that you're going to get attacked where you live either. It's going to be a lot of things, and your work environment is going to be part of that too. I've heard of people that they've got a shop or whatever. I'm assuming that Rise to Power maybe has a workshop or something like that, and they will do the same type of thing to an individual. They'll go outside and say things or make noises or whatever. I had I went to there was a guy that used to fix my vehicles, and I noticed this phenomena going on, and it went on for a number of years where people would just start screaming. I don't know if you guys have seen people do this. There's the phenomena where people you might see them walking down a busy highway, flipping everybody off. You guys seen that one? That was pretty popular for a while. There's still one guy that does it. Every now and again, you will see people doing that. You don't know if they lost a bet or something, or they're just really pissed off at everybody, and they will be, very aggressive, in a very, angry facial expressions. Maybe double fisting it, walking down, the 4 lane, flipping everybody off. But there was this other phenomenon was these people that would just scream yeah, and they're just swearing at the top of their lungs, basically to the point where they would lose their voice. That's the only thing that I could figure. Because if I screamed like that, these people just walk around and do that. I mean, they should be in the entertainment business or something, but scare the hell out of you, you know, yeah, profanities and everything. And I was at this guy's shop, and I was getting something fixed on my vehicle. I think I was getting a water pump or something like that fixed on the Trailblazer. And he's got a shop full of guys, and we're sitting in there, and I'm asking him about some stuff, and we heard this blood curdling scream, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, one of the vehicles must have fell on one of your boys. And he's like, no. He's like, there's this. He said, I thought the same thing, but there's this guy. He walks around screaming, and of course he's using the F word and everything. And I'm like, my gosh, And there he comes. He walks right in front of the window, screaming, veins popping out, face completely red, screaming at the top of his lungs. Just freaky. And there was a lot of people that were doing that. I haven't seen that phenomenon in at least 2 years now. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's spiritual or something. There was quite a few people that were doing that. Just right down the street, through the neighborhoods, just screaming. No one else around, just them. It's crazy. Scary. Let me see here. Let's go on here. And we're going to get back into this. I'm just okay. Rise to Power says when you go to sleep or try to take a nap, they will call to wake you up. Just oh yeah, that's absolutely, man. That goes right along with what I said about those timing techniques, the synchronicity stuff. It's going to be meal times when you're going to sleep, take a nap, and the creepy part is how the hell do they know? And it's a lot of times you are dealing with maybe something that's coincidental, but man, when you become a target individual, there's and a lot of people talk about there's no way you can have all these coincidences, man. Okay, it's one thing if you have a few. It's like that person that you see all the time, and I'm not talking about somebody that you see maybe a few times a week or something. I'm talking about somebody you run into like 10 times a day, right? In a metropolitan area or a city, and you know that there's surveillance going on. Okay, that's not there's no other explanation for something like that. When targeted individuals deal with synchronicities and coincidences at the level that targets will deal with, there's no way you can write that off. There's no way. Okay, I've even seen that kind of thing happen where you might just be thinking all of a sudden you'll start thinking about somebody and they'll text you and they'll ha ha that's funny, and you're like I didn't text you. And you're thinking, why'd you do that? What do you know? You're trying to tell me, I'm thinking about you, huh? Okay. And I, it was like, whatever. But, that's the kind of stuff that targets will deal with. And that gets them thinking that people are reading their mind and all that stuff. I think a lot of that is, done, spiritually. And as far as the timing and everything else, I've talked about that before when it comes to being a targeted individual, that you're in a labyrinth of synchronicities. And, even when it goes into astrology, or the soothsayers or the tarot cards and all that stuff. The reason that they can do that, depending on whether you're dealing with a phony or somebody who's really in tune with that, or when you get into the elite secret knowledge and hid wisdom when they're playing those games, that I always use the example of the girl in Philippi that Paul cast the demon out of, and then she couldn't tell the future anymore, so on and so forth. You're dealing with that, and that's how they do it. They've got a different perspective. So if you're dealing with that, that's another option for you. If you want to believe that there's a supercomputer reading your mind, you can do that if you want, or if you want to believe that people are connected to you psychically, or they're wearing some type of neural headset or something. I mean, you can think whatever you want. I'm just giving you that possibility because people are going to be dealing with that. But absolutely, rise to power. I know exactly what you're talking about, and it can get pretty intense. I know when I was addicted to tranquilizers, the thing was I was always going through withdrawals, man. Okay, so I would literally, I only had 3 doses per day because you can only get so much of that stuff because your tolerance goes to the point where it doesn't even work anyway. So you're basically always going through delirium tremors, and your life is basically clockwork. You take your pills, you have to have an empty stomach. You take some bicarbonate, with it, and you set the timer for 90 minutes. After that 90-minute time, that's as good as it's going to get. You eat a little bit of food, try and take a little nap, and then get ready to go through the withdrawals after a couple hours, and then you play that game every 8 to 10 hours. That's how you live, because it takes forever to detox, and most of those damn doctors don't even know you can do it. But it created a very good opportunity for these people to harass me because my life was very predictable. And so they know that if they harassed me, right after, I might try to get a little bit of food. And of course, they would pound on the windows and throw stuff at the dwelling and everything. And that, and then, of course, they would wake me up. And, if you got about, I don't know, maybe an hour after you eat, that if you don't fall asleep, you might get an hour or two of sleep and you're done. You're going through withdrawals. You're going to have to wait until you have to take it again. And that could go on. And, people talk about, oh, how was it that you went so long without sleep? And hell, you should have seen it before I had that. But they would do that. They would do it for weeks. I wouldn't sleep for 2, 3 weeks. They would keep doing it. It was crazy. But it was clockwork, and it was real easy for them to mess with me. And when I had there was a point in time where I knew that I had gone to a level that I didn't even expect could happen to target individuals. Just in case you're a new target out there and you're wondering how far you can get in the place where this stuff can be just. I mean, you wonder how your mind is going to be able to deal with it. You wonder if you're going to snap. You wonder what's going to happen to you. This would have been. Let me see. That would have been like, oh gosh, that would have been like, 2015, 2016. And the overt, very aggressive harassment started in 93. Okay. So there I was eating dinner. And of course, somebody came up and literally just came up against the window and pounded on the window and ran off. Okay. And I didn't even flinch. I didn't even flinch, man. I didn't even look at the window. It might as well have been a train whistle, or something like that, or a little bird in the background or something, because literally I didn't even care. It didn't even phase me. I mean, it was like, something in the environment that you wouldn't even notice. And I literally just kept eating. I think I was eating some hamburger helper or something like that. And then I'm sitting there, and about 4 hours later, I was like, it just popped into my head. You didn't even flinch. I didn't even think about it. I mean, I noticed it for a second, and I didn't even think about it for hours, you know. And it's amazing. It's amazing what you can get used to. And I've talked about that before with directed conversations or whatever. That if you don't come up, tap me on the shoulder, I won't even hear you. People they can't even use that stuff on me anymore because I quit paying attention, and I've noticed that when you stop noticing these things, I mean, sometimes they'll get more aggressive with you, but a lot of times, they have to because the techniques are not working. You're not being traumatized the way that they want. You're not being triggered the way that they want. And a lot of times they'll become very aggressive, which goes into the other tactics I've talked about, like fuming. I mean, it's pretty hard to get out of that. Okay. It's one thing to, tune out, a noisy neighbor or some people who want to walk up and, have a loud, direct conversation, in front of your bedroom window or something, or whatever. When you're trying to go to the bathroom, you get out there and start having a convo right outside your window as they, tap on the side of the wall or something. But they'll do that kind of stuff. And hold on a minute, my cat's freaking out. Okay. Well, she was really trying to get in here, and I'm not. I'm not going to deal with that right now. She's having her little playtime out there. Okay, we'll get back into the comments. Okay. The old people and children really break your heart. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, they really make you look like a nut too. Yeah, I dare you to tell anybody about that. This the seniors, they're after me. that who was doing the directed conversation? It was that 5-year-old kid across the store. Oh, so the children. Well, you're really dangerous. We can lock your ass up. You're nuts. And I would, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that I've seen a lot of weird stuff as a target, man, and you got to love that kind of stuff. Emmanuel Godson wants to know if Dublin is in Ireland. That's funny. Oh man. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay. All right. Okay. We got a little bit of a dialogue going on here. Okay. Tracy, how you doing? Glad to see you. Exactly. How do they know? Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. I was talking to a girl, gosh, it must have been right when I started the channel. And I think she was living in Colorado or something like that. And I was talking to her, and she said that it was laundry day. Okay. I've seen weird stuff like this before too. This is kind of an interesting story. And I can't remember what her name was, but she used to be on the channel. Maybe she's still out there. But it was laundry day, and she said that I think she was wearing like a pair of sweats or something like that around her apartment, and she was getting a directed conversation. And these guys were sitting there saying, "Yeah, well, she isn't even wearing any underwear today," and all this other stuff. And I guess, and I thought, well, when I talked to her, I was like, well, maybe they could see that there wasn't an outline. She goes, no, that's what I thought too. But it's just weird stuff. Strange. I've seen some pretty weird things. Um, but anyway, um, let's get back into the comments here. All right. We got a Okay, we got a little bit of a dispute out there, or what? I'll let you guys deal with it amongst yourselves like adults. Okay. Okay. Is Dublin having a hard time tonight or something? What's wrong, Dublin? Okay. Okay. Well, I don't know what's going on here. But anyway. Okay. Well, I don't know. Well, I don't know. Well, like I said, I don't know what's going on. I'm just trying to provide an open forum and a way for us to get together. And if someone's having an issue, hopefully, uh, well, they'll feel better later or get over it. I'm going to just go back into this thing. And it looks like we have a comment from Emmanuel Godson here. One time they left one of my books open on my bed. Okay. And let me see. I'm trying to read this. Sorry about that. Oh, okay. And the text was a direct reference to what I was worried about that day. Wow. So it was relevant to exactly what was going on. Yeah, looks like we're dealing with the Blarney. Okay, well, getting back into the environmental stimuli. Let's hone in on some different areas here. Like I said, the whole idea is to trigger the victim into an emotional state. At first you're dealing with confusion and anxiety. You could be dealing with fear. Of course, you're going to move into paranoia. It could be used to trigger frustration or anger, and eventually even despair or depression. Words and phrases can be used, colors can be used, symbolism can be used, behaviors can be used, smells can be used, anything that the target is sensitized to. The trauma based associations. You're moving into flashbacks. Those are one of the goals for the perps. Anticipation of attacks, getting you to ruminate or to marinate in all the things that had happened to you. And I've talked about that before. When you're dealing with all the associations that are around gang stalking, it doesn't even necessarily have to do with the attack. It can be just things in your environment, and everything eventually is tied together. And they want you in that constant state of anxiety. They want to keep you in that environmental tyranny. And there are a lot of things that go into this, and some of the street theater that you deal with involves role playing and theatrical stuff. A lot of times you'll be dealing with accusations, whispering and staring. A lot of times you'll be dealing with little games, facial expressions. That's also part of the environment of the targeted individual, and I've talked about that before. If you're a target, making eye contact is a bad idea at this point. You should try to avoid that, okay? Because what happens? They want you looking for it, okay? They want to reprogram you ultimately, okay? They want that. They want you looking for these things. And just we'll go through that real quick first. They want confusion, dysfunction, anticipation, paranoia. They want you to process things in a self-centered way. You're getting a lot of attention, okay? And they want you to be looking for this stuff everywhere. And they eventually want to take you into self-scrutiny. They want you to buy into disinformation. They want to give delusions to the target. They want to gaslight you and discredit you and turn you into your own worst enemy so that you're in that stage of where you're processing information in a personal way, reading into things, engaging in self scrutiny, and basically having a meltdown. Okay. And, if you're if you're a new target, and this stuff is really going to freak you out. Okay. And so what's going to happen is you're going to be walking around noticing all this stuff. Your ears are going to be tuned in because they're going to, at first you didn't even care. Okay. A lot of the things that targets deal with, they didn't even care about this stuff. They weren't noticing any of it. And I've talked about the fact that these mechanisms and all that stuff that's out there have been there the whole time. Okay. Yes, it doesn't. I'm not saying that these people were doing this stuff to you and you just didn't notice it before. I'm just saying the basic themes involved in gang stalking, the methodologies, and so on and so forth. We're always there, but and that goes into different ways where people are attacked in mass concerning the control programming and stuff like that, where they, target individuals believe that. I don't know, the TV's talking to them or the radio host is, looking at them through the radio, or they know somehow they got a camera. And that's because, those themes are being used against the target and they're processing it in a personal way. And it could even be demonic stuff, to where these people, because you're dealing with a hive, okay? And we've talked about all that stuff. Uh, but when a target gets attacked, they are going to start noticing this, and your ears are going to be tuned in, to where before you would be walking into a convenience store or whatever, and if somebody accidentally got in your way or something like that, you'd have been, oh, that person's, duh, really. You might think they're stupid or uncoordinated or something, but after it happens repeatedly, well, and it's not, it's not possible for these things to be coincidental, and you start getting attacks from other places, and it's combined with facial expressions or sarcastic comments or something like that. Well, now it's different, and then of course, if somebody accidentally gets in your way, well, you could be at that point where you're about ready to punch somebody in the face or something, or you assume that it's part of the gang stalking or whatever. Why? Because you are processing information differently. You are looking for this stuff, and they will use that type of environmental tyranny to get into your skin. Like I said, a lot of this stuff is triggering you to get into an emotional state, and one of those things could get you pissed off, or get you, doing some of those other things. Like I said before, they want you ruminating. They want you anticipating this stuff. They want you to go into disassociation. They even, would like to drive you into a place of psychosis or derealization, where you think that everybody's a robot, or that you're in a matrix or something, or you're on some type of Truman show, and there's, everything is fake. And it can happen because the environmental tyranny and the tactics that are used against the target individual, using the hive, using the demonic hive, using organized stalking, and all that stuff that goes into this whole thing, it's intense. Okay, so if you're walking around and you're paying attention, okay, not only listening to all this stuff, but you're making eye contact with people, they're going to use that to their advantage. They roll their eyes or laugh or give you a little smirk, or whatever it takes to get under your skin. And of course, if you've been a target for a long time, you're going to be dealing with different forms of oppression or whatever. You might be, looking for another job, or dealing with other things that are just completely, absolutely unjust and unfair. And there you are dealing, with all these things. You're being hindered. Your career is being hindered. Your family life, whatever it is, your social life. And then you walk into the store, or you run into that little perp chain yanker, and they give you that smart ass look, or they look at each other and giggle and start whispering or whatever. And you cannot give them that authority. You cannot be looking, and even if they're not, the fact that you're looking around can draw attention to you anyway, because now you could even run into another target to where you're looking at them, they look at you, and they think that you're one of the perps. Okay, so I've talked about this before. Keep your eyes straight ahead. Try not to notice what's going on around you, because it's going to work against you. You're a targeted individual. Things are different for you. And you have to know that there is a hive out there. And I've talked about that, whether it's the demonic hive videos or the hive mind, or however you're going to look at this, because there's a lot of different ways this can work, and you're going to be dealing with them. Okay. They're all over the damn place. And it sounds crazy to somebody who has never experienced it. And I could see why. And if it was me, I wouldn't want to believe it. But if you're a target that's dealing with higher forms of harassment, there's no getting out of it. Okay. And they will use environmental tyranny uh, to drive you crazy. Okay. And it will all come together in a type of crescendo, whether it's the noise campaigns, the loud music, the high decibel directed conversations, in areas of invasion, loud machinery or vehicles honking, repetitive type of surveillance activity, them driving around. There's no explanation for it. The accidental type of attacks or invasions that you will deal with maybe in your workplace. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that, for the 50th time. You know, and that goes into other areas where you'll be ignored. So you'll try to communicate maybe with people in your family, even or whatever, in your environment or in your workplace or whatever, And they will, oh, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to cough all over your food. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on you. I didn't mean to knock all that stuff over on your desk. Oh, I'm sorry. The polite attacker. But of course, once you get done communicating whatever it is, a lot of targets will confront gang stalkers, and I've talked about that. It doesn't work out, but you can try and set boundaries, and sometimes that's good because at that point you're going to know. So if somebody is repetitively doing something to you, whether it's in the workplace or something like that, instead of confronting them and getting in their face or whatever, you could just communicate with them nicely, and if they keep ignoring you, you're going to know. There's no possible way that they're not doing this stuff on purpose. And at that point, you just have to ignore it rather than to try and call them out, because at that point you're getting baited. Okay, especially if you're in a workplace scenario and people are doing stuff like that, you have direct, obvious, clear communication, and people are ignoring it. They're, oh yeah, oh, it'll never happen again. I'm sorry. Oh, have a good day. Kind of bullshit, and then they keep doing it. Okay, if you got a body cam or something like that, that could be used as a way to prove this kind of thing. But you're going to be dealing with that type of ignored, communication that's obviously intended to offend and insult you and bait you into a circumstance where you can, be aggressive or get called out and deal with accusations. Um, you're going to be dealing with geographical stuff at your home, at your workplace, in your neighborhood, maybe places where you frequent, grocery stores. That a lot of times targets will be surveilled, and things will be compiled as far as your habits and stuff like that, or it could just be demonic. Everyday activities are going to be targeted. Social gatherings, whether it's church or something like that, maybe even family get-togethers. You're in the store line, you're waiting at the grocery store, or maybe even in traffic. I've talked a little bit about the long range attacks. We kind of went into that a little bit. And let's see here. Well, I can go back into the comments again because I'm sure there's been somebody that's had some comments. Okay, getting back here and we'll see what's going on. Okay, well, I don't know what's going on out there right now. Oh, let's see here. I'm trying to read this, guys. Be patient with me. Tracy Sanchez, I've learned how to dress, undress without exposing myself. Okay, well, that must have been a dialogue here. I kind of jumped in on that, Tracy. I apologize. I don't know exactly what where that one was at. Yeah, Emmanuel Godson. Yes. How do they know? Well, looks like there's some kind of a dialogue in here with Dublin and some of the other um, people interacting here on the live stream. I'm just going to leave that alone. Okay. Okay, here's a good one. Emmanuel Godson says, I had a stalker right beside me on the phone, laughing. Yeah. Okay, so there was a directed conversation. That's a popular one, you know. And you could simulate something like that. It wouldn't be hard to do. And I've talked about the fact that targets deal with themes and so on and so forth. A lot of times it's things that are very direct and personal. But that's a good one. That's a real good one. That's easy. Oh, hold on a minute. I got to take this phone call, and or I got to call somebody, and then, you could do anything. I mean, I could come up with a director conversation right off the top of my head because I know all the things that targets are dealing with, right? It's not that hard to do. I'm afraid to do it because I don't want to trigger anybody, and I don't want to be accused of stalking someone. I've had that happen a lot just by the topics that I've chosen, where you get somebody who's been really harassed heavily. They're obviously homeless, and they're messaging me with hostile comments, and accusing me of knowing where they are, reading their mind, and stuff like that. So I'm a little touchy when it comes to that, but maybe in a video. Okay. All right. Let's see. Manuel Godson was talking about something else here. Okay. You had to stop watching TV since 2001. Okay. So you had the directed. Well, you would have had what a lot of people would call controlled programming. Is that correct, Emmanuel Godson? Is that the stuff you were talking about there? In fact, I made a video about that. Okay, and you can go through the video list and find that. It was quite a while ago. It was a couple of years ago. Yeah, media stalking. Okay. Like I said, those are themes, and it's like all the other stuff that targets deal with. You never would have noticed it until you became a targeted individual. Okay, and it's that percentage of the population, a very small percentage, targeted individuals, like maybe 1% of the population, very small percentage. It doesn't mean that other people are not being attacked, and these things are not being used on them, but not in the way that they're used on you. And a lot of people, depending on who they're surrounded by, will just assume that they've got mental illness. You know, it just depends on what they want to do. But it's just like all the other things, whether it's the white vans or the red Coke cans or the red shirts or the one headlight or whatever, or the symbology that is used. We talked about that. People wearing certain symbols or key phrases and all that kind of thing. And what they'll do is they will use those themes and they will say certain things, and they will have different facial expressions or smirk or bring something. Before, I thought about that stuff too. I think people just didn't they weren't paying attention. They thought that maybe there was something going on in the studio, maybe between the individuals on the newscast or something, and it wouldn't be something that you would even notice. But after a targeted individual's been sensitized, you're going to notice all this stuff. Okay, processing information is crucial, and if something is going to trigger you, it's like Emmanuel said. Well, just stay away from it. It's the best thing you can do. If people are using directed conversations on you and you have a hard time ignoring that stuff, or if you're in a very sensitive state where you're emotional already, maybe things are happening in your life, maybe you're already depressed or pissed off or anxious or something, or been covertly drugged. Yeah, put on some headphones, man. They can't get you if you don't see it. They can't get you if you don't hear it. Right? It's pretty simple, really. That's really it gets down to that. Okay. Let's see here. I've got something going on. Okay. In a ghostly world. Okay, I was trying to read that. Imagine people who never in their minds thought about searching gang stalking. Okay. Well, are you talking about people who experience gang stalking? Or are you talking about people who run across it who have never experienced it? I'm a little confused on that. Emmanuel Godson said that he dealt with some gaslighting from his brother. Unless you're a woman, sorry about that. Yeah, MC. I think that's what it says. Sorry, I got double vision. I don't have my glasses. Same with driving. Just focus on the road and cars. Don't pay attention. That's good. That's a good example. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's a great way of illustrating what to do. That's very, very intelligent. Thanks. That's a good way of describing. You're worried about yeah. I mean, you can be so used to driving, you're not even really thinking about that. You're doing it. You're engaging in it to the point where sometimes people can even lose track of time. It's like I don't even know how I got here. Assuming you're not smoking marijuana, that can that can happen. Wow, man, that felt like 10 minutes ago. We went we were driving for 2 hours. Um, but yeah, that's a good illustration. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go back through the comments a little bit. All right. Well, I don't know, Dublin, if you're upset about the dwarf thing. I was kind of joking, but if you are a dwarf, I just you're a cute one. I don't know. I think dwarves are adorable. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know if that made you mad. I don't know what you're mad about. I don't know what's going on. I can't read all these comments. So, like I said, I'm assuming that everybody's just going to be an adult, and I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. So let's see here. Okay, well, I think I've gotten through here. I probably missed a lot of stuff. So I'm going to even go way back in the comments and take a look here. Okay. 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 Well, I'm just reading through some stuff way back there. Well, it looks like I've got the gist of most of this. And so we've talked a lot about the environmental tyranny that the target deals with, and I've talked about the fact many, 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 many times that when a target is attacked, it's like getting a mental tattoo. Okay, you're traumatized, you're invaded, you are sensitized, you are conditioned. Okay, and all the associations that go along with that, including the disinformation and all the covert tactics, are going to be something that the target notices. They're going to be something that they've been sensitized to, and it will even move in to an environmental tyranny that involves things that are not really even associated with harassment because it's an incremental process where the target, your mind is circular, and the whole process of gang stalking is a circular scenario. They want you thinking in circles. They are going to attack you in circles. Okay, you're gonna get the onslaught. You're gonna get traumatized. There's gonna be the covert tactics. There's gonna be the denial. There's gonna be the confusion. There's going to be the synchronicities and so on and so forth. And as you're moving through this landscape, and I've talked about this before, there are things you got to do. You got to live, you got to work, you got to try to be social. And your mind is constantly trying to process this information in a way that is logical so that it can, put it all and compartmentalize it in a place where it makes sense. And of course, I've talked about the fact that they will use that to their advantage and they will try to gaslight you and convince you of all these things. This is why it's happening. This is why we have the right to do this to you, or we're just trying to help you, or whatever. Okay. They're going to use that against the target, or they're going to try and convince you that you're nuts, or they're going to try and get you into a place where you derealize and enter into a psychosis or freak out, get pissed off, and get incarcerated. Okay. But that environmental tyranny is always there. And it's a very important part of gang stalking because eventually they want just the things in your environment to, keep that state of anxiety or that sense of injustice, the tension around the targeted individual. Okay, because you have to be marinated in this stuff. Okay, there's different themes. There's all that stuff that targets will deal with when it comes to street theater or dealing with the puppets. But they want you to start noticing things just in your everyday environment, and they want those things to be associated with harassment. Whether even doesn't even matter whether it's something like the headlights or the red shirts or the whatever. Okay, that stuff is there too, and that stuff is part of the environmental tyranny, and that goes into the place where people are forming propositions that are not true. That is the part of the programming that you have to avoid, and you have to see what you're dealing with. You have to understand the hive that you're dealing with. You have to understand the motives and the methodologies, and then you have to differentiate the signal from the noise. Okay, because what happens to targets is, like I said, they will get into a place where they, instead of realizing that they're being triggered, and that they've been sensitized, and that they need to process the information correctly, They will get scared of the television, or they will get scared of the radio, or they will be afraid to be in public places, or they will, come across the accident scene and they will assume it was there for them. Okay, that is the type of propositional tyranny that comes out of the environmental tyranny, because it's not true. People are not setting up accident scenes for you. Okay, more than likely, you're dealing with a crescendo and a synchronized effect of orchestration when it comes to people having different sensations or different feelings or anxiety or incremental events that move them into a place where all of a sudden maybe a fire truck will drive by, blaring or something like that at a very high state of anxiety. Okay, that's a synchronicity. Okay, and the spiritual dimension knows that that's going to happen, and they'll prep you for it. They know where you're going to be. They know what kind of geographical area you're going to be in, and they can set something up and they can get you to read into it. Now the firemen are coming after you. The first responders are after you. They're using the hive to get you to form propositions that are not true. They are orchestrating events. They are using environmental tyranny to get you in a state of propositional tyranny, and they're reprogramming your mind, and they want everybody around you to think you're nuts, and they eventually want you to think you're crazy or that you're in a matrix or something like that. They want you to enter into a psychosis, and it's very effective, and environmental tyranny is used to accomplish it. So you have to realize what's happening. You have to understand the process of sensitization. You have to understand the process of conditioning. You have to understand the spiritual foundations of gang stalking, because if you don't, you're gonna play right into their game. Okay, you're gonna be, that's all the Freemasons. They're getting together down at the gymnasium, or whatever, or everybody at the fusion center is watching me right now. In my bathroom, going to the bathroom, or whatever's happening. I'm not saying some of that stuff doesn't happen. I'm saying that you can get into a place of propositional tyranny. Oh, they're setting up accident scenes for me. And it's not to say that in your community you cannot experience things where people are going to be involved, where they might hit the sirens, where they're going by your house or something like that. That can happen. It doesn't always mean that everything is a demonic synchronicity. Okay, there's a mixture of these things together. My point is that you have to understand the motive. You have to process information correctly. Realize that this stuff has been around you the whole time. Realize that as a targeted individual, you have been awakened to what is really around you, and that is that the world is being manipulated. There is a hierarchy that goes from the spiritual dimension into the governments. It goes into the secret societies. It goes into the banking system. It goes into everything. It goes into the fraternal groups. It goes into every area of this world, and there isn't anywhere that you can go where you're going to get away from it. If you're a target who's experiencing higher forms of harassment, you're not going to be able to get away. That's why people talk about that. I left the country. I did this or that. And you'll have that little 2-week game that's played with you. You'll have that honeymoon period, and then they'll start doing it again. Well, the damn CI must have followed me all the way to Indonesia. No, it's everywhere. Okay, and things can change depending on what kind of geographical area you are in, but predominantly there is no escape for targets, because, like I said, you have been awakened to this little game, and this game is if you don't process information correctly, you're not going to see what's happening. Okay, it was always there. You're not in a different dimension. You're not in some type of matrix or a Truman Show. You have been awakened to the reality of where you are, and the world is under the tyranny of the kingdom of darkness. They have controlled everything. The major portion of this world is under the influence of the god of this world. And whether you're dealing with the secret societies or the government or some kind of MK Ultra thing or COINTELPRO or whatever, you are looking at the menagerie, and targeted individuals fit in this menagerie in a place that you're the crazy person. You're the person that is used for coercion. You are the vessel of wrath. You're that experiment. Okay, you're the guinea pig. You're that person that is used for experimentation on how to discredit and silence whistleblowers. All these things are there, and you're a small percentage of the population. If you do not process this information correctly, you're going to enter into that propositional tyranny, and environmental tyranny is part of the medium. It is part of the methodology used to drive targets crazy. I want to get back into the comments here. Okay. Leo. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, brother. Huh. Yeah, well, I'm gonna post it, so it'll be up there for everybody. And one of these days, maybe I will write a book because this stuff. I'm gonna just be honest right now, you guys. Okay, I'm a victim of gang stalking. I've just barely got my head screwed on. Okay, and I've mentioned this before. I've got a lot of areas in my life that there's huge disconnections. I've had strokes. I've had a lot of things happen to me. My IQ used to be around, I don't know, somewhere between 60 and 70. Last I did, I took a test. It was multiple choice. I think I got lucky. It was at 126. But I've gone through some pretty, severe, I don't know, changes myself. Okay. I'm a DoorDash guy. I'm a delivery guy. I'm doing a lot of things, but I'm just trying to, make it just like any of you. I'm trying to put one foot in front of the other. In fact, I think it was Rise to Power had that video on his channel to where it's about the journey. Very good advice that when you try to look at this as you're trying to accomplish something or you're going somewhere and you want to get there as fast as possible, or you become discouraged because of all the opposition that you are receiving as a targeted individual, you cannot process, your environment like that. That goes into environmental tyranny in the sense that if you just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. If you can do that, okay, if you focus on the things that you have control over, if you focus on the journey that's at hand, where you still have possibilities, you're doing good. And I've compared that to like a stock portfolio. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay. If you just lost a little bit of money, that's okay. You can make that up. Okay. If you only made a little bit of money, that's okay. Okay. You still got a lot of possibilities. The thing that you want to watch out for is when those stocks start tanking and you lose everything. Okay. And as a targeted individual, that's what they want, man. Because this stuff goes into the triggering of the target. Okay. Whether you're having the flashbacks or they trigger you into an emotional state because they will use that crescendo. And what they want to do is they want to get you off balance and take you in the downward spiral. Or if they cannot do that, they want to push you into the open and get you to react. And then you become either on paper as a nut or as somebody who's dangerous, or you actually become incarcerated or worse. Okay, that's representative of zero possibilities, man. Okay, you got to remember that there's bait, there's a motive behind all these methods. Okay, and just let these things kind of work themselves out, and you just try to ignore it, separate the signal from the noise, and keep putting one foot in front of the other, trying to focus on things that you have control over, not the things that they have control over, because you can't do that. Okay, they want you to be stressed out, they want to trigger you, they want to freak you out. They want to put you into that emotional state. They want to send you off into that labyrinth of associations where you're either in the past and dwelling on something and ineffective in the present, or they want you out in the future speculating about all the things that happen and becoming anxious or even in a state of despair because you're anticipating all the things that are out of your control. Can't let them do it. Stay in the present. Okay. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Try not to react to the things that they're doing. Realize that they are trying to trigger you. Look straight ahead. Don't be wondering what people are up to. Don't be looking to see if they're looking at you. Don't look to see how people are reacting when you walk into a building or a store or whatever, or at your workplace. Just do that robotic stuff. And remember that when you don't react, remember that when you cancel this stuff out with that type of methodology, it's the most effective thing that you can do. Okay, like I said, somebody puts on a set of headphones and they can't hear the direct conversation. What's the effect? Well, first they have to become obvious. Maybe they have to, get in your face or even rip the headphones off you or bump into you or well, what's that? Well, that's going to be a hard time gaslighting you if they have to be obvious. They can't accuse you of being crazy then, can they? Right? And then you're going to know. And it reinforces that proposition in your mind to where when they use covert techniques on you or you do read into something accidentally, you don't give into that. They'll change it up to where they want to drive you nuts. And at on the other side of that, you're not hearing it. You're not hearing what they're talking about. And what does that do? It does not affect you, right? If you don't see someone's stupid facial expression or their little tactics or, their little theatrics or whatever, it doesn't affect you. Okay. If you're not hearing the directed conversation, it's not gonna do anything to you. Or even better yet, if you are processing this stuff correctly, understanding that it's baiting you, understanding that it's designed to mess with you, and you understand the hive that you are dealing with, and you understand, the world that you're in, well, you've even canceled it out further so that even if you do hear it, you know what? Well, you're not missing out. They're not ruling. They're not getting away with this stuff. They're eventually going to get caught. They're eventually going to regret this stuff. They're eventually going to reap what they sow. Okay, so you're not going to believe that lie. You're not going to, get worked up to the point where it's just not fair. They're getting away with it, and then you freak out and do something like they're not going to get away with it. They're not going to get away with it. They're going to have to answer for it. Okay. And all the other stuff that you're supposedly missing out on, well, a lot of us are almost there. We're on the last stretch before we get, to where we're going. Life is but a breath. The majority of your existence is on the other side. This is going to go, and it's going to be over. And all the little cotton candy and all this, stuff that's in this little carnival that you're witnessing that's around you is going to be gone. Okay. And it's being used to manipulate people. Okay. A lot of people in the world are not dealing with gang stalking, but they're being manipulated in other ways. Look at all the cotton candy. Look at, this is, yeah. Oh, you gotta have all that. Well, you can't take it with you. Okay. A lot of people have talked about this being a testing ground. Well, it is. Okay. And if you know where you are and you process information correctly, these things are not going to bother you. Okay. It doesn't matter when you start thinking, well, all these people think I'm crazy. Am I just going to fade out? And my reputation is ruined. I'll have to live in the shame and contempt that is created by all these gang stalkers with their rumors and all these things that are being said about me. No, it's eventually going to be brought to light. Everybody's going to know. Everybody's going to know. Okay. And the other good thing is that, even if you do screw up or they got some dirt on you or whatever, or you make a mistake or whatever, you're just human. And you know what? So are all the other people around you. And guess what? Everybody needs mercy from God. Okay. So if anybody starts judging you or trying to gaslight you with all these methods, they're full of it. Okay. They've got some dirty, rotten stuff in their closet. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't even be saying anything to you. Okay. The one who blows their trumpet the loudest usually got the most to hide. And these gang stalkers are loud. And that's part of their environmental tyranny. I'm going to go back into the comments. Hmm. Okay. Okay. In a ghostly word says they're demons. Oh, some of them are, absolutely. Huh. Yeah. Slick firmament. I think that's what it says. Sorry, I'm having a hard time reading. I'm currently starring in They Live, The Game, and Fallen. Awesome. Exactly. You are. Those are some good movies, man. That's a good way to look at this. And a lot of the movies out there, like that Dark City, was pretty cool. And then if you ever want to watch a real old movie that kind of has some of the same themes in it, It'd be surviving the game. And then there's some other ones too. I'm having a hard. Oh, let me see that Stephen King movie, Needful Things. That's kind of like gang stalking, the way that the devil kind of messes with people and turns everybody against each other, and they start reading into things. That's a pretty good one. Let's see here. Catherine says, "What is gang stalking?" You don't want to know. If you don't know what it is, go away because you don't want to find out. Trust me. If you live in the normal world, you could just look at us like we're a bunch of crazy people. You don't want to know. Just a bunch of nuts. Don't mind it. Okay. Well, it doesn't look like we got it. Let me see. Slick Firm at Needful Things would be a new one to me. Yeah, you're going to like that one. It's a good one. Okay. All right. All right, guys. Well, it's been real. It looks like you guys had a pretty interesting dialogue in there. Hopefully, there's no enemies out there. Like I said, we're all adults, and I appreciate you guys coming in here and interacting with me. You've helped me. Hopefully, I made some sense, and hopefully, I helped you. I apologize again for not having my reading glasses. I don't know what the hell I did with them. I cleaned up today. It's been a long time since I've been to work, man. I'm really starting to worry about that. But I'd like to thank everybody who helped this little discussion along and who participated in this live stream. I'd like to thank everybody who helped support the channel. God bless all of you. Be good to yourselves and be safe.